Hello. Good day. Good afternoon. And good evening. Whatever the case may be in your neck of the woods, greetings. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, Bob. Good morning. Bob, if you can let me know the audio levels are coming through good, that would be great. Yes, Bob, I did skate growing up. How about you? Yeah, I first stepped on the skateboard in the late 1970s, and little plastic thing that I would ride up and down the street. And eventually I made it over to a guy in the neighborhood next over. He had a skateboard ramp, and I got into that in the 80s. So yeah, I do have an influence in skateboarding. The level's good, Bob? Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Yeah. See some familiar faces here in the crowd. Thank you, Bob. It's always helpful to know what it sounds like and looks like from your point of view, because it might be a little bit different than my point of view. But thank you all for joining. I've got a great show for you. I thought this was kind of funny, the movie screen. How much time do we got left? 40 seconds? Okay. I've been busy this last week creating short films, and I've uploaded a number of them since last week. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. I should have something behind me. That's right. That's right. This is better. There we go. That's better. I knew it was missing something. Maybe next time I could get some moving pictures. Hey, Ray, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. I see some new faces in the crowd. That's good. Like I mentioned, I've been busy this last week uploading several short films onto YouTube, and today I thought I would run a live stream and do some narration to those short films that I uploaded this last week. A wide variety of topics, but I think they're all pretty cool. I mean, it ranges from the Phenakistiscope, which is one of the earliest forms of animation, and the Kaleidoscope. Oh, my headphones are out of whack again, so I might just have to take the earpiece out. Yeah, that's better. Sometimes the audio gets out of whack, and what I'm hearing in my ear isn't in sync with what I'm saying, so it kind of throws off my voice, but I do have to check it from time to time. But Ray, good to see you. Yeah, I'm on the big screen. Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. I should, next time I'll get some moving pictures behind me. Right now I have the Archimedes death ray, the famous technology invented by Archimedes, and he was able to direct the energy and harness the rays of the sun onto enemy ships and enemy structures and burst them into flames. Let's see who's all here. Wyodino. How was your Milwaukee exploring with the sub? Oh yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for reminding me. And Skip, if you're listening, yeah, that was great. We just did a short jaunt down to, there's an abandoned tunnel about 3 blocks from here, 3 blocks from my house, and it's down on the river banks and of the Milwaukee River, and it's this amazing tunnel, and it's kind of out of the way. You have to go down through some brush and to get down to the tunnel, so it's not a lot of people go by there. But so when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's for drainage, right? That's just water drainage. But it's so ornate. I should put together something for you to share that with you. But Skip and I, the last time I was down there, I didn't want to go in because I was by myself. And so Skip and I, we walked down there. It's just like a 5-minute walk. And we went inside this tunnel, and about 100 feet in, it's completely walled off, right? So there is no way that water can come through there. I mean, it's completely walled off. It's an arched tunnel entrance, and we got back in there. It's about 100 feet in. It's completely bricked off, so there is no way that water can come through there. And I had showed the pictures to Ray a couple months back, and he showed it to Michelle, and Michelle said she thought it looked like a subway tunnel. And it really does. It really looks like a subway tunnel. It looks like there could have been tracks in there. I know that there's an elaborate tunnel system beneath Milwaukee, and I'm sure that it's connected and then you can get downtown to it. Yeah, I really do. I wonder where that leads, because all along I was thinking, oh, that's just where the overflow water comes from, but it's blocked off. I'll bring you some pictures next time. But yeah, my latest theory with the help of Ray and Michelle is that it's a subway tunnel, and it's the perfect size and shape for a subway tunnel. Needs some further research, but Skip and I, we're gonna meet up every couple of weeks or so and go to a new place and check it out. But thank you all for joining. I see some new faces here in the crowd. Sue Finelli there. Yep, down there in the front row. Ray, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. I just thought this was kind of funny. All right, so let me bring this down. I feel like I'm getting a little bit better at the live stream thing, and so this is one of the things that I uploaded this week, and it was just kind of a visual treasure trove that I came across. This vintage Kaleidoscope footage. I thought it was really cool, kind of trippy. If anybody's prone to seizures, you might want to look away for the next minute or so. I did have a viewer say that it made him kind of dizzy. I apologize, but if you want to follow me on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/BillMillerFlip, and you can see my progress there. I currently have 3 patrons that it's really awesome. They've made a decision to make a contribution monthly to the research and the short films and the live stream and the channel. Very amazing. Thank you to all my subs. I do have some exclusive content over there on Patreon. So it's kind of an incentive to join. You'll get to see some stuff that you don't get to see over here, but thank you to all my patrons. And you could I'll have links in the description. You can click on that and go check it out. You don't have to donate, but another way of helping out the channel is I created BillMillerFlip.com, which is my website, and it has all sorts of amazing old world clothing designs and backpack designs. I took about 3 weeks to really dug into this and created a website, and I have over 250 individual items. No two are alike. with a wide range of topics on them. And it's another way to help support the channel and fund the research and the short films. Another way is if you go to my homepage on YouTube, YouTube has authorized my channel memberships to my channel. And the entry level is the trolley car rider level at $3 a month. You'll get certain perks with that, and those are flexible. The second level is the ocean liner passenger level at $6 a month. That also has individual perks. And finally, the highest level is the airship captain level at $9 a month, with some really incredible perks like name this city requests and t-shirt requests and all sorts of good stuff. I did get my first member, and that was Morgan over at Isabella Live 2.0. He is a monthly member to my channel. If you want to bypass all that and you do want to help contribute, you can get to me through PayPal or Venmo or Buy Me a Coffee, and I'll have those links in the show notes. I'm still getting used to asking for contributions and donations, but you know, the happiest person would be my wife. And any married fellas out there know that a happy wife is a happy life. So, and plus it will help further the research and the short films and the resources available for the research. So I'm trying to come up with some creative ways to help support the channel, and hopefully they're acceptable to the community. I don't want to keep bashing people over the head, you know, with the asking for the donations. But there is a certain amount of promotion. I feel that, if you're a monetized channel, which I am, and you are seeking contributions, that there is a certain amount of self-promotion, shameless self-promotion. I'm still getting used to it. I feel a little awkward, but I really have a passion for this, for the research and the short films and the live streams, and I would love to do this for time to come. And in year 2, this is second year, we're going to find creative ways to help support the channel and further the research and the short films. I have got so much evidence, so much footage, so much research stored up, and there's just more to come. I have some really cool films in the works. If you'll recall my Dublin, Ireland short film, they'll be on that type of level, and I can't wait to share those with you. So let me see if I can come back in here. Okay, that's a little big. How do I... Yeah, I want to get down here, and we'll get rid of that for now. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. So I thought the Phenakistiscope was pretty cool. And another thing that I have in play and ready to go should we have a cat sighting, I have kitty cam. I've got a backup camera because sometimes Roger and Lucy like to come in and pay me a visit. They'll jump right up here on the counter. So if they make it up here, we'll be ready with kitty cam. I like it. It's kind of corny, but it gives you a kind of a backstage look at the inner workings of the studio. So as our visual delight and pleasure comes to a conclusion here, we'll get into the next short film. And this is something that I had in the works. It's been in the works for a while. I actually started on this when I was doing the live streams with Ray, I was putting something together and I never just got it quite ready for air. Let me check the levels here. So this is a collection of statues and monuments from all around the face of the earth. And I mean, it really just screams to me a highly advanced civilization, organized, technological, that went before ours. The architecture is so identical from continent to continent, tip to tip, from city to city. And if you check the mainstream narrative, they will chalk it up to a coincidence. It's just a coincidence that all of the architecture looks the same all across the face of the earth. Same with the monuments and the statues. It's just a coincidence that these were built at a time when travel and interaction between countries was at a low. Sometimes they didn't even know about these other countries. How did the architecture and the monuments and the statues, even in China, turn out identical? And to me, it screams a one-world previous civilization that went before ours, that was highly advanced and highly organized. Something happened, some type of event, we'll call it a reset event, a mud flood, a meltdown, an X Factor event, whatever it was. Something happened that changed the civilization. And then we come in. We are the inheritors. We are the inheritors of the infrastructure, of the buildings, of the statues, of the monuments. And now who's directing us? We'll just call them the controllers, because they're the ones that are pulling the strings behind the scenes. And after we've inherited this, we've come in and started butchering up the place, chopping things up, demolishing things, throwing things into disarray and disorganization, hiding the truth, hiding the past. Why? Why are they hiding the past? It was amazing. And for them to take credit for the architecture and the infrastructure is disingenuous. It's too hard to fathom that in the 1800s and the 1700s and even further back, people were throwing up these buildings like nobody's business if we follow the mainstream narrative. The timeline is screwed up. There's missing time from the time frame, from the timeline. Perhaps there's an entire 1,000 years of missing time that we're not aware of, where during that time, the previous civilization was very busy creating cities after cities after cities, tunnels, statues, monuments, forecourts, plazas, the whole 9 yards. So again, one world civilization that went before ours. We are the inheritors. So this last week, as I mentioned, I uploaded a number of short films. And I wanted to go through them, and this is next up on the list. And if I recall correctly, trying to think of what this was. Was this, name this city? Well, we'll find out here in a second. Again, I'll have links in the show notes for any type of contributions or donations. Oh yeah, the 3D printing. This was really cool. I've known about this for a little while. I had it bookmarked in my browser, but I knew it was finally time to put something out there because the topic of 3D architectural printing has come up in the community recently. And when I first heard about it as a possibility for the buildings and the infrastructure that we see, I couldn't quite picture it, because in my mind I was thinking 3D printing was just you take a block of something and a machine etches it out. But I was like, what do they mean 3D printing? So I dug as far as I could, and perhaps it goes even further back than this, but I found this footage from almost 100 years ago of architectural 3D printing. And I mean, perhaps it's an option. I mean, it's certainly on the table for discussion as to an explanation for how so many thousands and tens of thousands of old world structures were built that were identical. Perhaps there was a blueprint. Perhaps you ordered the building from the factory and it came in pieces or something. I mean, aside from thousands upon thousands and even millions of people constantly building things, what technologies did they have at their disposal? We know that they were highly advanced. They had telecommunications technology. They were airborne with airships and ships that sailed the seas and tunnels and photography. And it's certainly within the realm of possibility that they had 3D architectural technology. And in this footage, I mean, this is coming from a mainstream narrative point of view, but, people were throwing up buildings with 3D printing 100 years ago. Perhaps it goes even further back. I just thought it was really interesting because I'm constantly thinking of how did they build so many structures? I mean, that really is on my mind, and top of the list is millions of people creating buildings during a 1,000-year period that has been erased from the history books. And there's also the thought that the realm just came like this. It was already pre-built. And there's, also there, as I mentioned, previous civilizations. And together, I think, if we all do our diligent research, we'll start finding more gems like this. And, this was I was dipping my toe into the subject of architectural 3D printing from the vintage era. And I can go deeper. I think this is deserving of a deeper look because, if they had this type of technology during that 1,000-year era, certainly, it would help explain the tens of thousands of buildings all across the face of the earth. Spirited Woman. Yeah, this is what I'm doing here is I'm going through. I uploaded several films this last week since my last live stream, and I'm running them in this live stream, and I'm adding narration to them because the films that I uploaded were just the film footage and the photography and the soundtrack, and this is a way of adding narration to them. So that's what we're looking at here. Is you'll see the collection of short films that I uploaded this last week. Who else do we have here? Forever Love 774. Good to see you. Wyodino's here. Singeman. I mentioned Ray. Thank you all for being here. This is awesome. I'm almost to a point where I can commit to a weekly live stream. Not quite there yet, but because there is, it does take some time to get a live stream together, especially the way I do it. I kind of preload the video that's running behind me there. So there's less to do while the live stream's going up. I've noticed that it relieves some of that anxiety and pressure that I have. Speaking of that anxiety and pressure, I had it a little bit at the start, but it goes away as the live stream progresses. As many of you know, I've brought it up before that as soon as I know I'm going live and I hit that live button, there is this nervousness that washes over me, and it kind of settles in my stomach, and my voice changes. It starts to get a little crackly. It's speaking of which, let me take a quick sip of this sport tea while we take a look at this vintage 3D architectural printing. There. Much better. Thank you, Forever Love 774. Yeah, and thank you for bringing to my attention that YouTube was deleting some of my messages. I'll have to check. I don't know if you went back and checked, but I re-uploaded a message. Apparently, YouTube is kind of sensitive when it comes to the agency that we call not a space agency. Apparently, those comments will disappear as aforementioned, but we'll keep an eye on that. And if anybody's, please let me know as we go through the short films, because the audio changes a little bit. Let me know that the audio levels are good. The idea is that there'll just be kind of a hint of music in the background, as I want the narration to be at the forefront, but I don't want the music to be overwhelming. I think a couple live streams back, I went a little too hot with some of the levels, but thank you, UFO Buff 417. Excellent. Oh, Messier 84, welcome. Greetings. Glad you're here. As I was just mentioning, I'm getting to the point where I can almost commit to a weekly live stream. My main concern was that before I figured it out, it was taking me so long to get a live stream ready, especially the way I run it. But now that I've kind of streamlined that approach and I've got the things working the way that I like them to, it makes doing a live stream easier. I can fire it up pretty quickly. This show came together last night. I wasn't even thinking of a live stream yesterday afternoon, and then I decided, hey, that's a good idea. So I collected all the short films and put them into a computer file, and then loaded them into the streaming software. And then just made this is all just one long file now, so I don't have to fidget with all the changing between clips. So And when it comes to picking a day and a time for live streams, I'm pretty flexible. Excuse me. I do want to take into consideration all of the different time zones. I know right now in, say, Wales, where Hippie Shake is, I believe it's coming up on 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Thursday afternoon. And on the other side of the realm, where Michael Joshua Lewis is in Australia, I think it's coming up on 2 o'clock in the morning. So perhaps the early morning slot, kind of like the early morning drive time slot, like, maybe a little earlier. But I'm flexible. I don't have to necessarily commit. But I think one idea is as a way to promote the live stream, is to announce it earlier in the week somehow, to let people know that I'll be going live at a certain time. I think that's what we'll do. This short film is, as you'll remember in last week's live stream, I was talking about airships that were aircraft carriers. And these airships were able to house these biplanes inside the body and then retract them, and the planes get the motors fired up and they hang from this hook, and the engines get up to full speed and the pilot gets ready, and as soon as everything's ready, the pilot flicks the switch and the biplane flies off. And I've just always been fascinated by that, because the plane can fly around and go do its mission. And then once it's done, it comes back to the mothership and rehooks onto the hook. That was weird. And it gets retracted inside the airship, and the hatch door closes behind it. And they can work on the airplanes inside the airship. Just the insides of these things are really, really magnificent. As a kid, even up till recently, I thought the entire airship was filled, the inside was filled with helium or hydrogen, but that's not the case. There's tanks in different sections of the body of the airship, and this is actually inside the body, and there's gangways and planks to walk, and you see the tanks there. And the living quarters were quite nice, and it would have just been an amazing way to travel. I wish they would bring them back. And in researching this, I found out that today, in the modern day, there is currently a $1 billion industry that builds airships, modern day airships. They're still making these things. They have a newer look, a more modern look, but I guess I just don't hear about it too much. I wonder if that's by design, and who's actually buying these airships. Where are they going with these airships? They're capable of heavy lift, We know that NASA Space Agency is the largest purchaser of helium. Right now there are thousands of satelloons overhead, filled with lighter than air gas that are suspending heavy equipment like telecommunications equipment. Perhaps there are airship cities in the sky right now, because with the advancements in the technology, they could be aloft for weeks or months or years. Next up is the latest edition of Name This City. As many of you know, I have a YouTube series called Name This City. And for those that are new to the channel and new to the stream, the idea behind Name This City is I will collect a collection of photographs and films of a specific city. I will arrange them and edit them, and put a soundtrack to them, and play it just like this, but I don't give the viewer the title. Part of the fun is that the viewer kind of has to guess by the clues of what city it is. And sure enough, on every single episode, and I've done about 30 episodes, somebody has solved or has identified the city within the hour. And even ones that I think that nobody's going to get. But, I put in iconic buildings and iconic bridges to help give the viewer, an idea of what it is. And sure enough, this one was solved. I won't say it right now. I don't know if anybody in the chat remembers what city this was, but this is an amazing old world city. It's in the United States. It's known for a lot of bridges, old world bridges. I mean, the city has a dozen of them. Somebody guessed it right away when I uploaded this episode of Name This City. And I had no idea. I mean, as a kid, my favorite football team, pro football team, was from this city. They are known for, what should I say? It's an East Coast city. And it's amazing how all of these cities look the same. And I try and pick cities from all across the face of the earth. And you're telling me it's a coincidence that they all just kind of turned out looking the same, despite the fact that these cities are thousands of miles apart and interaction between the countries was limited, if there was any at all between some of these countries. You're saying that the architectural designs all just coincidentally turned out the same. That's part of the fun of Name This City. And yes, Jess Palmer, this is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I don't like to make it too hard or withhold information from people, but it typically people have a keen eye for details. I've noticed that, and plus this is reaching people all across the earth, so people's experiences are different than mine, and perhaps somebody takes a look at one episode and they can identify it within the first 5 seconds because of the building, But yep, that was Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that was the latest edition of Name This City. I'm in season 3, and that was episode 3. And behind me is my website, billmillerflip.com. And you can also check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/billmillerflip. There is a certain level of self-promotion going on. I feel a little awkward doing it, but I have been seeking ways to find support and financial donations for the research and the short films and the live streams. I've been doing this for just over a year, and I've got over 100 short films on my channel and probably about 10 live streams. And, it was my wife, she really was giving me some good nudges. She was like, "Hey, Bill, have you ever thought about a merchandise store?" And I was like, yeah, it sounds good, but, I've got this research to do. I don't want to get away from my research. And she's like, yeah, you should do it. She kept reminding me. And then finally I'm like, all right, honey, I get the point. A happy wife is a happy life. So I created billmillerflip.com, and I've been considering and sharing different ways to help support the channel and help support my research and my short films. I would love to do this for time to come. And year 2, I'm just going to incorporate slide a few self-promotions in there, and hopefully dreams come true. Excuse me. All right. Next up, we have Giovanni Battista Piranesi. Now, this will be part of my year in review portion of the show. This is actually one of my short films from last year, and it is Giovanni Battista Piranesi was an architectural artist from the 1700s, and as an 18th century etching, he has hundreds of etchings that he is said to have completed in a 10-year period. It was a very short period. And I've talked to artists and I said, how long would it take to do one of these etchings so precisely and so pristinely? And they said it would take a long time for each one, months, a year. But Giovanni Piranesi has hundreds of these, allegedly, if we go with the mainstream narrative. Perhaps we're looking at something different here. What we're seeing here is Rome, a devastated Rome in the 1700s. He was depicting what he saw. Look at the Colosseum. It's melted. But then next to it, you have buildings that are perfect and pristine. And you get the sense that there were these other civilization, the people that look different, like they are the survivors of the previous civilization, and something has happened and they're just sort of dying off, and they're much larger than the other people that we see depicted. The sizes don't correlate. So it appears that the people, the civilization that went before us, was a civilization of very, very large individuals. And in these depictions, we see them kind of crawling around in the mud. I mean, there's mud all over the place, right next to perfect buildings. How does that happen? We get plant growth on top of the columns. Why? Was it underwater at some point, and when the water receded, the plants just landed there? What's going on? And the fountains, the high-pressure water systems are still working. But this city, I'll say half of it is destroyed. And these figures we see aren't exactly human. And he was depicting what he saw. Yes, he was an amazing artist. I have 3 other Piranesi short films on my page. If you scroll back about 9 or 10 months, you'll come across them. I was really fascinated by Giovanni Battista Piranesi. I've downloaded most of his etchings. They are in the public domain, so that's quite nice. But what we see when we take a close look is a strange setting. I mean, it looks like part of the city has been melted, and it looks like part of the city is buried in mud. We literally have both. What was this event? Was it multiple events? Why is there mud everywhere? Why is there plant life growing on the buildings? Isn't this an occupied city? I mean, where did everybody go? Did the street cleaners just decide to go on strike or what? I mean, if you follow the historical narrative, the mainstream narrative, about what they call Rome. You know, we hear about battles and the fall of Rome, but we in this community know that Rome is something else. Rome is just a cover story for the previous civilization or civilizations that went before us. And they needed to create a narrative where to explain this damage, this melt, this mud, this disarray. Where is everybody? I know these are just etchings, but in my mind, they almost look like photographs. Look at that. The detail, it's almost like he took a photograph and put it through, you know, how we have filters on our phone to make our pictures look different. What if that's what we're looking at here? How old is the camera? How old is photography? It's certainly on the table for discussion. I mean, to do this by hand as an etching is simply an amazing feat. But then to ask us to believe that he did hundreds of these in a decade is starting to ask a bit too much. Why is there plant life growing all over that pyramid in Rome? Why is there a pyramid in Rome? Why are some of the buildings in pieces in the mud and some haven't been touched? Is this the result of a weapon? A directed energy weapon? And what I mean by directed energy, it could be anything. Directed energy could be water. If you focus it hard enough, water is a directed energy through a high power hose or a wave or whatever the case may be. Now look at these statues. That fella there is twice as big as the other people. I mean, that guy is literally twice as big as the adults a few pegs over. Now these people are just wandering around this city. It's like they've just arrived there and are just kind of surveying this area. Where is this? I mean, this was Rome in the 1700s. That's what they're telling us. And that they took Giovanni Battista Piranesi around the city and said, hey, Giovanni, why don't you knock out some etchings for us for the historical record? Look, there's multiple pyramids in Rome. What went on back then? I mean, it's clear that what they've told us is a lie. Now, it's up to us to find the evidence and to share it and to grow and to learn. Because I think that we can glean all kinds of hints and clues from the historical record, and that those hints and clues, we can apply those to our lives today. I already feel the benefits in my life of knowing what happened not too long ago. And it has invoked such a feeling in me, such a passion, that I want to share it with you. I want to share it with this community that's growing, this amazing community of individuals that are on this same path, that have seen this light, this information, and are questioning the historical narrative. They're questioning the controllers. We're pushing back. It's time for us to take this realm back and to return it to its former glory for which it was created. This realm that we live in is a creation. And if you want to call it God or Allah or Krishna, that's fine. There is a creator. This realm is created. This isn't the result of some random explosion billions of years ago, flying things at millions of miles an hour. No. This realm has intelligence. It's sentient. It's an energy. It's an electricity that we were a part of. And the more that we can connect with it, the more that it will benefit our lives today. Just think of our community growing and everybody's lives are improving, and our community grows and more people get turned on to this information. I just love it. I love the research. I love the artwork. I love it all. And if I could do this for time to come, it would be my pleasure to share this with you as often as possible. It took me a while to count back how many films that I've uploaded in the past 15 months. And it's about 125. I think I upload about 10 films a month, sometimes more, sometimes less. But my catalog is growing, and I encourage anybody new to the channel to go through my catalog of short films on the channel. They're all free, and you can see the evolution of my editing skills. In the beginning, it was just simple slideshows where it was show a picture for 7 seconds, show the next picture 7 seconds, and put some music behind it. But this really is a lifetime of skills that I'm employing here, and I feel like my editing skills are growing. Next, we move into another short film of mine, and this is on India. India is incredible. This is reset evidence. So as the story goes, there was an Indian rebellion in 1857. Let me do the talking. Tensions had reached a breaking point between the Indian Army and English military forces that were originally permitted into India to provide security for English trade assets. The sepoy soldiers from the Indian Army were originally allies with English forces, but they were disrespected by the soldiers of the English Army. The sepoy grew discontent and felt threatened by the foreign military presence. The sepoy soldiers began a campaign to rid India of the English army and the... This was one of the first short films that I did narration for. Narration has always been the biggest hang-up for me, but I'm getting better at it. But this is one of the first ones that had narration, so I'll get back to the film. Let me know that the audio's coming through well, because what you're hearing, my voice, is from the video. So let me know if you can hear it well, and I'll continue the short film. East India Company, who were occupying Indian military bases, office buildings, and palaces. Allegedly, Indian forces began attacking the occupied structures, searching for English forces, sympathizers, and were apparently not concerned by destroying the buildings that they once built. The artistic depictions portray intense hand-to-hand fighting with swords, single-shot percussion rifles, bayonets, and cannons. Battles are shown in the countryside of India and in the cities and villages. Elephants pulled the cannons and the soldiers walked or rode horseback. So the point that I was trying to make in this short film is that what they're saying is that the battles between the sepoy soldiers and the English military forces were battles like this, on horseback, out in the country with swords and single-shot percussion rifles. And the largest thing they had is they show elephants dragging the cannons around. We all know that cannons are suspect and perhaps they don't have the capabilities that they are telling us. But as we get into the film, we take a look at the damage to the city, the photographs, and we try to compare it with scenes like this. How did these buildings get destroyed when the guys are out in the countryside fighting with bayonets? I'll continue. We will examine photographic evidence of the damage. Are swords, rifles, and cannons capable of such destruction? Or were other forces involved? This was very early on in my editing skills. When I look back, it's kind of tough for me because I'm like, why did I do it like that? Why did I edit it like that? You know, because I'm critical of my work, but sometimes it's good to look back at your previous works or your previous art to put it into perspective, you know. But look at these buildings. And they're saying that these guys went on a rampage. Their families, their way of life. The war carried on for a year and a half. Conventional histories have the death toll at 6,000 English army soldiers and 100,000 Indian army soldiers being killed in the battles. Really? Look at this thing. Let me just pause it here. Look at the size of this thing. I mean, is that something that you can cart around and aim? And I mean, that thing I don't even know how many tons that thing is, but that does not look like a functional cannon. First of all, you have to get it to where it'll reach your enemy, you know, in the mainstream narrative definition of cannons, but you have to aim it and you have to, load these cannonballs into it. I just think that this is a cover story for the reset or resets, the event that took place, and that there was something else that happened to these structures. I will continue.
Near 10 million Indians in the war and in the decade to follow from an aggressive English extermination campaign. It is described as an untold Holocaust where 10 million Indians disappeared. How did the surviving English army go on the offensive with swords, rifles, and cannons all across India, from city to city, turning buildings to dust and rubble? allegedly taking out the remaining 200,000 Sepoy soldiers without slowing down their offensive, going on to reduce city after city, village after village to a cooked and destroyed state, making 10 million.
Let's just pause it here for a second. Look at the size of this building. Okay? Why? How? Who? What the heck happened to it? Just something to consider. I continue.
Indians disappear, gone, sparing only the buildings and people that would be useful in their ongoing eradication of Old World India.
So, this is how they're saying that they got the cannons from city to city, right? All across India. How long would it take to go from city to city with elephants pulling your cannons? Something to consider. I'll continue.
And its inhabitants. These buildings, partially buried, charred as if hit with extreme heat, columns sliced into small sections, buildings hit with a direct force that knocked them into bits of rubble. Some were turned to dust. What was it? I can't say for certain. Was it a weapon of the English? I don't know. Was it a supernatural event from above or below? Perhaps. Was this occurrence intended to reset India? It does appear that way. My approach going forward to this and other subjects is to question the official narrative and look for evidence to the contrary. I will leave you with a photographic collection and Indian music of what took place after the reset.
What the hell happened? I mean, so you're saying that this damage is from, if we quote the mainstream narrative, this damage is from bayonet fights and single-shot percussion rifles and some cannons outside the city. Or was the battle just so severe that the guys were fighting and they got up there on the second floor and, you know, the fighting spilled out the window there and they started whacking with their bayonets and their swords and that chipped away the stucco or the rendering. And that's, you know, the fighting was so intense that, you know, the buildings just couldn't take it, right? This hand-to-hand fighting was so massive that the buildings just crumbled. Or were the buildings melted? Was there extreme heat? Was it a weapon? Where did this heat? How did it generate? From below? From above? It's all on the table for discussion. Very interesting. I continue. Look how vast these cities are. So they can build these magnificent structures, yet they've just decided to leave the forecourts area in mud or brick ash. And the street cleaners decided to go on strike. And where is everybody? This is a very, very large city. Was it, judging by the, excuse me, judging by the shadows, I would say it's late morning or early afternoon. Is everybody still sleeping? Where is everybody? What happened here? Why are the buildings destroyed and there's mud everywhere? I'll continue. Down there on the lower left, we do get a sign of life. There is a horse, a carriage, and it looks like an individual standing in front of the horse. So we do get signs of life, but not a lot for a city this size. There is some plant life there in the forecourts. Excuse me. But it looks, has it been manicured recently, or what's happened? Some of those plants just look dead. Like they died from heat. I'll continue. So if we go with the mainstream narrative, these are the guys that built these buildings. Their brothers and their cousins and their friends. These are the ones responsible for these structures. They do look highly organized and capable of building these structures, and they stayed quite busy, as there are thousands of these types of structures in India. I'll show you some more evidence here. Some of the buildings are destroyed, and some are still pristine. I'll continue. Look at the arches behind those guys. There is rubble pouring out of the openings, just like the building was disintegrated. The bricks beneath that rendering is red brick. So the fighting was so intense that the elephants came in and knocked around and got into fights, and the guys were swinging their swords, and it was just so intense that the buildings turned to ash. That's what they say. I'm not buying it. I'll continue. Look at the architecture. So again, for those just joining the stream, this is one of my short films from about 9 months ago. This was early on in my filmmaking. I'm still early on in my filmmaking, but this was one of the bigger ones that I put together back then. I was really quite proud of this. My editing style has changed since then, so sometimes it's kind of hard for me to watch the editing because I would do it differently now, but it is what it is, and I'm happy with it. But this is India after the quote-unquote 1857 Indian Rebellion, where half of India was destroyed. This building looks cooked, like a giant blowtorch or something hit it. It's blackened, and the rendering is falling off. I see Jen's here. Hey Jen, looking forward to tomorrow. Jen Jen is over at Domestic Truther 69. We got to chatting last night during Ray's live stream, and we'll be doing a show tomorrow on Jen's channel, I believe at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Flexible on the time, Jen, but I'm looking forward to it, and send me a message if you have anything specific you want me to share, but I'm looking forward to being on Jen's show tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Look forward to it. Thank you. And again, these are the guys that are building these structures. These are the community of workers that are said to be responsible for putting up these magnificent structures all across India. And they did it in about 100 years. We're talking, if we go with the historical narrative, we're talking a few centuries. But this is the workforce. These are the guys responsible. So as I was researching the 1857 rebellion, I came across the evidence of allegedly 3 years later, India suffered a cyclone. And when we look at the damage that was said to have been from a cyclone, it looks quite similar to the damage that we see in other cities. I'll let you decide. I'll continue. In come the inheritors. look at this palace. Just simply amazing. Audio level's good, chat section, good level with the background music and the microphone. Trying to get the right balance for you. So we see these perfect structures that survive the event or events, whatever they were. Glorious, magnificent old world structures that somehow all of the cannonballs missed them, but buildings right next to them were completely destroyed, if you follow the mainstream narrative. You know, the damage to some of the buildings, like this one, for example, it appears to be untouched in a city that suffered a war. And hand-to-hand fighting can take castles and reduce them to rubble. Yet, the next block over, the cathedral, why is there a cathedral in India in the 1700s? They'll say it's the British. But some of this damage, and the Taj Mahal and similar palaces made it through just fine. These churches look European. And that was the guy responsible for building it. So there wasn't a lot of people around, but the few that were around, they were really, really good at making trillions of bricks and piecing them together into these magnificent structures. This is your workforce here. They're busy. Look at the scaffolding over on the right. You see they're busy. You know, they're scaffolding. That shows that they're really busy. I'm being sarcastic. But then they've just decided to let some of it go into disrepair. And boy, I got something in my throat. Dang. Look at the detail. Now, as we know, the mainstream narrative is shoddy at best. Bring the audio down a little. There's your transportation. How long would it take to carve that? They'll tell us that these are carvings out of stone. We know better. And they'll also tell us that they carved right out of the side of mountains. We know that mountains aren't mountains. And they want us to believe that you can carve stone. And there is some evidence, I will say, that in the modern day with some hand tools, that there is rock cut structures. So there is some evidence of that, but we're putting it into the perspective of India a few centuries ago, and the resources and the time that they would have needed to do this just isn't matching with the historical narrative. I mean, I thought everybody was busy baking bricks, but now they're also carving monuments and shrines out of the sides of rock. These must have been a very industrious and innovative civilization, these guys here. There's your workforce. Maybe that's his. He did that one. That one's his. Look at my house. Look what I did. Rubble, dirt, or was that an entire piece of rock there? Was that structure, building that's been melted? Now look at these stones. You're saying that this was carved and that the workforce decided to expend millions of bricks and time and energy hauling them up the side of this mountain and building things on top of it. And it was for security, but what are you going to do up there? I mean, wouldn't the invading army just go around and just keep going? It doesn't make sense. Or was this entire thing once a structure, like at the top there you see, and something has happened to it and it's caused it to melt or dissolve or whatever you want to call it? It's just changed the appearance and the texture and the structure. So here the idea is that I wanted to compare the size of the cities with the amount of people that we see. You know, this is probably the busiest photograph that I found. So we have a few hundred people here, but look at the size of the city. Where is everybody? The population to size of the city ratio is off. There's just not enough people. I mean, you're saying that these guys are the ones that built everything? It doesn't take very many people. You get you and your brothers and your cousins and your friends, and you throw one of these buildings up, and you're able to do it so ornately in the interiors that it's palace-like, and these are the guys that are responsible. So again, this is one of my previous short films from about 9 months ago. It's called India Reset Evidence, and this is part of a portion of the show where I'm doing kind of a year in review of some of my previous artworks and my previous short films, and I think it's good to go back from time to time and look at things and re-examine them with a fresh set of eyes, as a way to kind of learn from my editing skills that I've been working. I don't want to say working. I've been happily creating short films for the last 15 months, and I share so many short films, and my mind is always in short film mode. Sometimes I have to stop the research and the short films to kind of re-examine stuff. It's like sometimes I haven't seen something in so long that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one, and that really is the case for a number of my films. But it gives me good ideas, and it also shows me that I feel like my editing skills have been improving. I mean, if I was to do this again, or to do part 2 on India, I would do the editing slightly different. I think the pan and zooms here that I used are a little extreme at times. I think I had just learned how to do panning in and zooming in, and like I would slow this down a little bit if I were to do it again. But it does have its place, and I have had viewers say that when they're watching it on YouTube, they will make a change. You know how you can adjust the speed? You go down to the settings and you toggle on that gear icon, and you can slow it down to 0.75. It actually works pretty nice with this short film, because the music still works at 0.75, and the zooming in and zooming out isn't as extreme. At the time I thought this was the greatest, just doing these zooms, and but there, see how I slow down the eye with a still shot. Like I mentioned, this is a lifetime of skills that I'm using here with filmmaking and live streams. So, I mean, I think I mentioned last week, my very first technology that I learned how to interact with was, my dad had those old reel-to-reel tape players prior to 8-tracks and prior to cassettes. It was those big lunky thing like the size of a microwave that you got the reel out and you put it on the one and you threaded it and reeled it, and it would transfer the tape from reel to reel. And I learned how to do that at like 4 or 5 years old. Listened to Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog by, I think it was Three Dog Night, and from there I got into, then 8-track tapes came around, and I bought a home stereo that had the turntable, the cassette, and the 8-track player in it, and I was really happy. And so music has always been a big factor. Then I'd say at 15 years old, a friend and I applied to be on a local radio station. It was a community access radio station, and we passed the test, and at 15, we were on the air. It was just Jeff and I in the studio playing whatever songs we wanted. So broadcasting has been with me since, 40 years or more. After the radio, I got into camcorders came around. That was really fascinating to me. Fortunately, they were expensive at the time, and they weren't very common, so I didn't own one till later on. I did eventually get one, but after high school, I went to college at the University of Nebraska in broadcast journalism, where some of the things that I learned there I see them in the short films, like some of the compositions of some of the photographs, and the panning and zooming and the framing. I spent some time in the studio back in college, and I think I do have a couple of those videos up on my YouTube channel. If you go scroll all the way back to the beginning, I think about 10 years ago I uploaded my first video, and it was some old skateboarding videos and some class projects from college. And there's the Giants. giants. That's a fascinating topic, is the large people. I mean, these guys are clearly over 7 feet tall. I mean, imagine an entire civilization of large people, highly intelligent, highly sophisticated, highly refined. Think of what they could do. But in order to find that out, we have to disregard the mainstream narrative and search and research on our own. And that is my passion, and I love sharing it with you. When I see something, I know immediately that I want to share it with you. It's just so good. And fortunately, I've progressed in figuring out how to share the different forms of media, like films and photographs and music and narration. It's coming together, and I feel like I'm on a good path and in the right direction, moving forward. But getting back to the lifetime of experiences, after college, one of my first jobs was working at a video production company that specialized in weddings. So I probably videotaped. I was the videographer on probably 50 weddings, which was kind of a trip in itself, because it was people's ideas of weddings there's a wide variety of how people do weddings, and it was incredible to be part of that. And then after the wedding, it was back to the studio to edit it together. There was different wedding packages, price ranges. From there, I worked part-time at a local TV station as the cameraman. I would even take the camera home with me at night, and I'd be on call in case some event happened in the night and they needed somebody to get the video. I even took the Livestream van, the broadcast van. I got authorized and trained to take that down to events and set up the broadcast equipment. So that's in my lifetime of skills that I feel I'm employing here or putting to good use here. So that film concluded. That was India, Reset Evidence, and now we move into a similar story. This one is of Germany. Germany suffered similar events, perhaps not quite to the extent of India, but I'm noticing that as I go from city to city all across the face of the earth, that most cities have been destroyed in one way or another. You know, they'll say it's a war or bad building supplies and the buildings deteriorated. But we know better. We know that there are melted buildings. We know that there's buildings buried in mud. There's one of the things that I've gotten into recently is the major fires, city fires. The Great Fire of Chicago, for example. And if you think of your city or the largest city near you, you'll probably find there's a tale that the city burned down back in the 1800s. And somehow these fires were able to burn down buildings made out of brick, stone, and steel. But I found that to be the case in Germany. I did this one probably about 2 months after I did India, and I'll let the short film play. What is this structure? I mean, I thought this was one of the most bizarre buildings. Um, and this is Germany, Bavaria. I don't know if Sissy Top is in the chat, but she lives in Bavaria. She's kind of an expert in this. But we'll see more signs of melted buildings and mud flood and whatever the case may be. Something's happened to these cities. I'll continue. Think of the resources needed to get the building materials to the top of these mountains. If you go with the mainstream narrative, I mean, so they were, not only were they busy in India, they were busy in Germany during the same time period. The interactions between the two countries was limited, yet we see some identical architecture or highly similar architecture. There is different styles in the different regions, but there are like the city buildings or the municipal buildings, what we call them. They all have that similar architectural style. The domes, you'll see that from city to city. So I want to thank everybody for Just want to pop into the chat for a minute and say hi to everybody. Looks like we're hanging strong at 8 people. Thank you all for being here. I believe in where Hippie Shake is, it's coming up on 6 o'clock in the evening on Thursday evening. I think that would make it like 3 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning in Australia. Now, this building is melted. I don't think there's any other way to put it, but I mean, this entire blob was, you could argue that it was an entire structure and something has melted it down. I mean, how else would you describe it? Hello, Sue Finelli. Glad you're here. Hippie Shake is here. Forever Love 774 is here. So earlier I was mentioning that, I feel like I'm getting a little better at these live streams. I think before the whole issue was getting it set up, and there was so many decisions to be made during the show that it was kind of overwhelming at times. But I've figured out how to streamline the process and kind of prepare a lot of the show ahead of time so that it's just one big long video and I add narration. I'm almost to the point where I could commit to a weekly schedule. I think that would help. I think that would help bring more people in to, if they knew that there was a specific day and a time that I was going to go live. I'm not quite there where I could commit to that, but I think what I could do in the meantime is perhaps a few days ahead of time, I could put up a notification or a short video that says, I will be live in 2 days at this time, or 3 days, just kind of a heads up. I think that would help bring more eyes to this research. I think it's solid research. When I research, I dive pretty deep and I'm pretty thorough with my investigation, or at least as thorough as the internet will allow. Sometimes I feel like the research finds me. I've literally felt that a number of times where I'll be researching and all of a sudden something incredible shows up and I'm like, where did this come from? Like it was a sign that I was to see this and share this. And that really is my goal, is to learn, to research, to learn more, and to share. And for the longest time, I didn't know what the best way to share was, and I'm still open to new ideas on sharing. But I feel like this research is solid, and I'm highly selective on what types of photographs and what type of resolutions and picture quality, and the same for the films. My artistic eye is growing. It's keen. I can tell pretty quickly if something is of good enough quality for the type of short films that I want to create. If it's kind of fuzzy or, the picture quality is low, I typically won't share those in a short film or a live stream. Now here in this one, like India, we see these massive cities, this massive, incredible, magnificent architecture. And there's a few horses and carriages around and one or two people, but sometimes a few more, but there's just not many souls around, not many living souls. So this would have been built by Hans and his friends in Germany. These people here in the photograph, these are your workforce. This guy here, he's in charge of brick delivery. He's very busy. He's got a lot of stops to make. And here's a few people inside of a massive city. Doesn't quite match the ratio of population to size of the city, is a little bit off. This building looks to have taken some kind of damage there in the front, or it could be decay. I thought this one was highly interesting. Look at these arches, but here in the lower left, are those palm trees? Is there any arborists in the chat? I did not know that palm trees grew in Germany. Is that unusual? Perhaps. There has been some talk that the climate was different. Not maybe only 100 or 200 years ago. Like there's been a climate change. I can't believe I just said that, but we see that because some of the buildings don't have windows. Perhaps it was a much milder climate not so long ago. But I did not know that palm trees grew in Germany. Massive cities, very few people. The plumbing is a major undertaking. And that ladder there, that I put that in there because I really like UAP. He was big. He was a big influence on me for the past few years. He would say the ye old ladder lean. I like his stuff. I haven't seen him as much lately. I hope he's doing good. Douglas, appreciate your efforts and your research. Thank you. Yeah, palm trees in Germany seems kind of out of place. So we get these massive structures right up against the forest, in the background. You see that the forest is just outside on the other side of some of the buildings. Like you would have vast countrysides of beautiful plants growing, and then the inhabitants would carve out a section of the forest and put up the architecture, and that's where they gathered. And here I made sure to get this guy because, as we know in this community, the controllers, the top hatters, are highly likely the guilty party, those in the know, those who are pulling the strings, the control strings behind the scenes, the rich and the powerful. It's time we take that back from them. Yeah, and John Levi has mentioned it many times, horse and cart. John Levi is also a big influence and inspirational to my filmmaking. Something about his delivery and his message that really hits home with me. When I released my Dublin, Ireland Easter Rising short film back in March, John had reached out to me in an email. Unfortunately, it was an email address that it's my backup email, and I didn't get the message till 2 months late. I have reached out to John back returning the email address, but I haven't heard back from John. But John, if you need any research or any help with anything, I'm available. I love your shows every Sunday morning. I love what you're doing. Thank you. These cities, where are all these building materials coming from? I mean, in this city alone, how many millions or billions of bricks are we talking about? I love these old ships. Look at that thing. I noticed when I was researching, these side paddle ships were more common in the 1800s, but their ship designs were just phenomenal. Look at that thing. And you would see the side paddle even on ocean-going vessels, and they phased that out. I believe it was like the Great Eastern. That was a very famous ship. They had that side paddle propulsion system. Very, very interesting. I love that ship. So this film, as I mentioned, narration has always been the hurdle for me to get over. Like, I would spend time or happily creating these short films and getting the visuals all correct, and then I was like, oh, do I really want to do narration? And then I would just go, no, just release it with the photographs and the soundtrack, and because I wanted that gratification that I wanted to move on to the next project. Oh, and here, this is a very interesting section. I noticed that in this set of photographs that are coming up, that the figures that we see are actually drawn or painted. These people actually weren't in the original photograph. These are artworks done later. And you'll see more evidence very soon here. Why would they? Is it just an art project? Or, I mean, these are painted. These don't look real. I mean, are they trying to falsify the timeline by, these cities were empty? Are they trying to trick us into believing that there was some people there, but it was hard to do with photographs where the cities were empty? I mean, if we saw city after city after city empty, I mean, people would be like, where is everybody? Who built this? I mean, clearly these are artistically added. I mean, those aren't in the original photograph. I contend those are painted. Now, some of the background people may be real, I don't know, but I mean, it just came to it's like, why are they painting in people? This group here, this photograph, I thought this grouping of people was unusual. It appears that this is some type of Photoshop, like an old school Photoshop. Some of the ratios are off, like the people, it doesn't look right. And why are they all just in a group like that? Why aren't they spread out? Because they've been added later. This is some type of old school Photoshop. I contend that it's to deceive us and to give us the false impression that these cities had a population, but the cities were empty, and we see that from city to city. Hello, Sean Osborne. Good to see you. Yeah, Hippie Shake. I've reached out to Stuff Beagle a couple of times. I'm not sure what happened between he and I. He won't return my messages, and he has me blocked on his channel, so I can't I can't comment during his live streams. I'm not sure what happened there. I mean, I thought John was a friend of mine. Stuff Beagle. I consider him a friend. I'm not sure what happened. I've tried to reach out to him a number of times, and I hope to hear from him. I hope he's doing all right. I really enjoy his research, and he's a very cool guy. Something happened, not sure what, but we move forward. But yeah, he does great research. I even though I can't comment, I still watch his live streams. I thought this was a beautiful photograph. Look how ornate that was. I mean, I can't stress enough how difficult the pressurized water system that's below our feet and below every city, how vast and how intricate and how much resources would be needed to build that structure, that system, the water system is vast. I think there are water tunnels that connect city to city, even continent to continent. There's a vast network of tunnels below us. It's a topic that I'd like to dive further into. You know, I've only dipped my toe or scratched the surface on tunnels, but I'm aware that there's an elaborate water system below our feet in every city. And how connected are we just below the surface? I mean, are there transportation tunnels of water below our feet? I mean, certainly on the table for discussion. Yeah, it is kind of a shame, Hippie Shake. I hope John over at Stuff Beagle's doing well. I don't have any hard feelings. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but I hope to speak with Stuff Beagle again soon. I enjoy his research. Now, in this set of photographs, we do get into cities that are now more occupied, and we get into the topic of, are these the incoming new arrivals, the inhabitants, the inheritors, if you will, of this infrastructure? Everybody is dressed highly similar. I hear a cat coming. I might have to get, if you'll give me a second, I'm gonna go let the cat in. 1 second. All right, I'm back. I'm going to fire up Kitty Cam. There we go. Here he is. There's my guy. This is Roger. He's my man. Roger's, he's my good buddy. Roger showed up here at our house about, 11 years ago, he was a stray. And we are a cat-friendly household, and I think he sensed that, and he decided to stay. And I mean, we gave him opportunities to leave if he wanted to, but he decided to stay. Next up, we have Lucy. This is Lucy. She's also a tuxedo cat. We got Roger and Lucy. You want to say hi to everybody? Yeah. Uh-oh. Why did that stop? Oh, okay. No, Lucy, you got to be up here. I've had Lucy since she was... I knew her mom. When I was back in Nebraska, living in Nebraska, I was working out in the country at a facility that had an overnight shift, and I started noticing this tortoiseshell cat showing up around in the middle of the night, and I got to feed it and kind of befriended her, and I was going to take her home, but one of my coworkers kind of had a hissy fit about that. So I left her, and she got pregnant, and she had a litter of about 7 in a wood pile outside the facility. And when they were old enough, I picked Henry and Lucy. Henry is no longer with us. He's passed on to the spirit world, and Lucy's still with us, and I don't know if you can hear her, but she has quite the voice. Yeah. All right, so there I got to do kitty cam for you. It'll be more exciting, and but it's I always have it ready. Kitty cam. I suppose I could do, I wonder if there's a way to, the kitty cam is actually my phone. I have it set up as a second camera. I'm really kind of a techie nerd. I like, the equipment and stuff. I make the best of what I have with the computers and the cameras, and I don't know if anybody has any spare editing computers laying around in their closet collecting dust. Send me a message at billmillerflip@yahoo.com. The two here that I'm using, I got used. This one, and there's this one over here. They were they were a package deal, and I bought them from a used computer discount depot place. And they're probably 7-8 years old. They're old gaming computers. Ooh, what happened there? Oh, okay. All right, and that concludes the reset evidence of Germany. That was also part of my year in review that I wanted to start doing, because I think it's a good idea to go back and look at some of my older short films. And over the past 15 months I've done about 125 short films, and those are all available and free for your viewing pleasure at any time. Feel free to go back through my catalog, my library of short films on the channel. I'm really excited about the direction of my short films, and I've got some that are in the works and or in progress, I should say. So the idea was to highlight some of my previous work so that, you know, people new to the channel and new to my research could get an idea of where I'm coming from and what the what we have in the community. I was gonna do, this is how I started the show. See if I can recreate this. There we go. Now the live stream, how long we're going on? About 2 hours. That was kind of the target I had in mind. And I got one last clip for you, and we'll get out of here and enjoy the rest of our day. I thought this was funny. I don't know if it is or not, but so I started the show like this. How did I do that before? Okay, so that has to go up there. No? Huh. Well, regardless. The idea was that you would start the live stream and you would see me on the big screen. Okay, there we go. Boy, if I could just get this to work for me. There's just so many knobs and buttons, and there we go. I think I'm getting it. Yeah, how does that look? So the idea was, hello everybody. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Hippie Shake, see you down there in the front row. Good. Sue, sitting next to her. Very good. I see some new faces here. Yeah. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here. My name's Bill Miller. I've been doing short films for about 1.5 years now, and I just thought this was a good look. Maybe a little corny, but hey, I thought it was funny. You like it, Sean? Okay, good. Sean, maybe you and I send me a message, because I kind of wanted to chat with you. I wanted to get your opinion on a couple of things. What would be the best way to chat with you? Is it email or just in... It's kind of hard for me to do it during the live stream, but if I wanted to shoot you a message, what would be the best way to communicate with you? If you're into email, you could send me an email at billmillerflip@yahoo.com, or just leave a message or a comment in one of the show notes. But I have some thoughts, and I'd like to get your opinion on a couple of things. So let me know. But I'm glad you like it. I thought it was kind of fun. I'm hoping that there's... Oh, we needed some background music. Next time, I'm going to try and have some film playing behind me in the theater here. I did make popcorn last night, but I think most of it's gone. I make a pretty mean batch of popcorn. My wife says it's the best, and I believe her. Thank you, Hippie Shake, for all those links in the chat. Much appreciated. Yeah, the self promotion is a little difficult for me. I'm still getting used to it. I feel a little awkward. it's a touchy subject, and I just want to approach it appropriately because, you know, YouTube has okayed the channel to be monetized, you know, and I have mentioned that I'm reaching out to the community in different ways to earn some support for my research and to further the short films, and I wanted to do it tastefully and not bash people over the head. Maybe I have gone overboard a little bit with some of the self-promotions, but you know, let me get it queued up here. This final section is some more downhill skateboarding. As you'll remember from previous live streams, I do have some skateboarding in my earlier life, and I still keep in touch with it. I have friends that are at my age still skateboarding, which is very inspirational to me, and sometimes I do think about getting back on the board, but in a milder sense, like keeping all the wheels on the ground all the time, you know, not too many tricks. I mean, I can cruise up and down the street, no problem, but I do have some ideas for expanding or reintroducing skateboarding. This downhill skateboarding, and this segment is about 25 minutes, and we'll wind down the live stream after that. But I've been incorporating, you know, aside from the old world research, I like things that pique my interest and are visually and pleasing, and audio pleasing as well, and the combination and the film work and the filmmaking and the editing. I like it. I mean, it's an influence on me, and it's kind of an escape or a way to, you know, do something outside of old world research. I still love it, old world research, but I'm incorporating more and more stuff, and I'm finding ways to tie them together, like there's a connection there. And if I see something that connects, I'll put it in a film, you know. And this is from a company called Sector 9, and this was one of my first. I did do some downhill skateboarding back in my younger years, and I still have the skateboard. It's right over there. But they do it in a way that's different than I do. They're able to slide the wheels sideways so they can slow themselves down pretty quickly. But these guys have been clocked at 70 miles an hour or more. And what really blew my mind was they don't wear much padding. I mean, they are wearing helmets and gloves with hard ceramic discs on their palms. When I did it, I was padded, you know, pretty much head to toe if I could, you know, knee pads, elbow pads, wrist guards, probably a little overboard, but this newer generation, I mean, this film is probably 9 years old, 10 years old, but there's some newer stuff that I've shown. It's just really, really fascinating. Because some of the places that they go, you know, like in the background there, we see A-frames and signs of structure and signs of old buildings in the background that kind of inadvertently make their way into their short films. These guys are so good that they can transfer the camera during the run.
You're listening to the sound guy.
That was right where it needed to be.
Looks like a lot of fun.
That's good. That's a triple.
What?
I would love to go camping. I haven't been camping in years. Man, I keep saying it every summer, but I wanna sleep out under the stars at least one time, away from the city. You know, so that there's less influence from the city lights. I think that would be amazing and if I could time it just right where it was a calm, clear night, I think that would be great. I haven't done that in years. I don't know why. I feel kind of a disconnect there from not camping in so long. I used to was way more adventurous, especially when I had my Volkswagen vans. I would travel the country, skateboarding from city to city and kind of living out of the van from time to time. It's amazing how many resources and opportunities you can find without a lot of money, you know, gas money and some food money, you know, and a vehicle, and you can end up in all sorts of places. I like their filmmaking. Again, this is from Sector 9 skateboarding company. I just wanted to add this in to wind down the show because, as I mentioned, I'm incorporating more and more things from outside of the old world research and the melted building research and the mud flood research and the great fires research. So more and more stuff is catching my eye, and if I can find a way to connect it to some skills or experiences that I already have, I'm well on my way. When I see this type of editing, I think, how do you do it? How do you, I know how to do some old world editing, but what makes up a good action sports kind of video or short film? The editing is different, the cuts, the length of each shot varies. There is an art form to filmmaking, and I'm very, very early on in my filmmaking adventure. Plus, it invokes that feeling that I want to get out and hit the road, and experience other places. It's currently my resources are kind of limited on that kind of thing, but I suppose I could take a bus or rent a car or something, but man, I would like to get down to one of the meetups. I'm in Milwaukee, so if there's anything in Chicago or somewhere in the Midwest, I'd like to start meeting people in the community firsthand, in person. I think that's the next step. I can tell by just chatting with people that this community is, it's more like, a family and of amazing and fascinating individuals. I hope to meet all of you. If we lived in a world where we could just pick up and travel, I mean, I think that's available to all of us. It's just kind of a decision. We have things that come up, and I find all sorts of limitations, but it's really starts with my mindset. It's like, okay, I can do this. I feel I want to do this. I'm going to do this. And just kind of setting my intent and following through and allowing myself to be guided by the energies that flow through this realm and flow through us, and all sorts of amazing things can come about from just changing our mindset, our intent. Let me pop over and say hello to the chat. The weirdest thing, I have to wear headphones or an earpiece so I can hear what I'm saying, but there's a syncing problem. Like what I hear in my earphone is like milliseconds delayed, so it affects my speech. So sometimes I got to take the earpiece out to speak properly. So we have in the chat, I'm going to go back up to the top and we'll see who's been. I mean, it's been a great live stream. Had a solid 10 people here. I mean, not a big live stream, but we started off this morning with Bob DeMertco. Bob was having his coffee when I started up the live stream, and then Ray over at Boston Mudflood Adventures popped in, and Wyodino asked about my meeting my first truther in person in Milwaukee. That was amazing. Sue Finelli came in. I think Sue's still here. UFO Buff 417. Seen them coming up in the chats. Boston Ray. I apologize if I haven't been keeping up with all of the comments in the chat section. It's a little challenging with doing it by myself, but I will I hope to upload this and make the chat section viewable on the replay for those that missed it. Messier 84 was here. Forever Love 774. Spirited Woman told me that YouTube had disconnected the notification bell on my channel to her. So YouTube's up to kind of some of their hijinks. If you'd like to follow me on Patreon, it's patreon.com/BillMillerFlip, and you can see my progress over there. Currently, I have 3 monthly donation patrons, which is amazing. I have $15 coming in monthly from patrons. I have some exclusive content over on patreon.com/BillMillerFlip. It's kind of an incentive to get more patrons. You can join for as little as $1 and cancel anytime. But I think having some exclusive content over there is a good idea. Another thing I'm promoting is BillMillerFlip.com. This is my website that I've been busy creating over the last month. These are my clothing designs: t-shirts, hoodies, leggings, backpacks, bags, all sorts of really cool things. I have over 250 items No two are alike. And I'm happy to announce I sold my first t-shirt. Thank you, John Patton. John sent in a photograph and I put it on a shirt for him. Also, YouTube has authorized my channel to allow membership levels. The first level is the trolley car rider level at $3 a month. You'll get some perks for that. Second level is the ocean liner passenger level at $6 a month. You'll also get some perks over there. Those are flexible perks. And the top level is the airship captain level. Some amazing perks that only you will receive as an airship captain. If you want to bypass all that, you can make some donations to my PayPal or my Venmo or my Buy Me a Coffee. And I will make sure those links are in the show notes. There are also icons in my banner photograph on my homepage that you can click on if you'd like to support the research and further the short films and grow the live streams. This is my passion. I would love to do this for time to come. I am year 2 of this filmmaking and YouTube. I'll be searching for creative ways to find some financial support for the channel. And only people that are in a position to make a donation. I don't want to take any money from anybody that needs the money, and I understand. If anybody's in a position and is willing to donate or contribute to the channel, it will further the short films and my deep dive research and live streams, and it can go a long ways towards some new equipment, some needed equipment if I want to take this to another level. There are some items that some tech items that I kind of have on my wish list, but we'll have to see how that pans out. But I think I'm done with the self-promotion for this live stream. I mean, it is kind of awkward asking, but I mean, there is a successful way to go about it. I've seen it done, I've studied, and I've witnessed people that do it properly and do it respectfully, and that's my goal. I mean, my goal is to find contributions and donations to the channel, basically, in short, and I just want to do that in proper way. But all of my short films up on YouTube are free to view. Do we have a technical glitch? Okay. I've got a huge collection of short films for your viewing pleasure. I mean, I've had some commenters that have made their way through my catalog, my library, and they have gotten back to me and said that they quite enjoyed the experience, starting at the beginning and seeing my progression in topics and editing skills and the overall look of a presentation or a short film. A lot of my short films are only a few minutes long. The longest ones are the live streams, obviously, but I think the longest short film is probably 30 or 40 minutes. But I'm really enjoying the live streams and the I'll be doing a show. I'll be over on tomorrow afternoon. I'll be on Jen's show over at Domestic Truther 69 channel. She'll be doing a live stream, and it sounds like I'll be the guest on the show. Bring some research, and I guess it's kind of a greet and meet kind of thing. Jen was the first channel or the first person that shared one of my short films, and it was the Moonlight Towers film from about 8 or 9 months ago. That was a big moment for me. It was the first time that somebody had shared one of my short films, and I was just dancing around. I was like, oh, Jen shared my short film. I was like so excited. It was the first time that I felt like somebody had seen. Well, I know people had seen it, but I guess it was the first time that somebody took note, right? So that was really cool. Jen's having a show over on Domestic Truther 69 tomorrow around 4 o'clock Eastern, I believe, possibly 4 Central. I'm in Milwaukee, which is Central Time, but we'll get that squared up. Maybe I'll put out a video tomorrow letting people know what time it is and what time, and I'll get a link to you so you can see Jen and I on her show tomorrow night at 4. Supercalifragilistic is here. Love to everyone. I always feel like y'all are family. Better than ever. Yes, it is. Yes, thank you, Hippie Shake. Thank you, Sean. A future together in today's weather means more to me than just a future forever. Quite the wordsmith there. I like it. This is just kind of I made it through the live stream. Nothing broke down or caught on fire yet, so I think people heard me and saw me. Let's see if I can bring my camera back up here. Yeah, oh, Lucy, you already had your chance. Come on, she must be hungry. She's quite vocal. Okay. It's not that difficult, Bill. There we go. There you are. I see you all now. Hippie Shake, yep, there we go. Sue Finelli, I see you down there, yeah. Sean Osborne, there you are. Is anybody up in the balcony? Yeah, there's a few people up there. I like it. Thank you all for coming. I'm also on Odyssey.com. Same name, Bill Miller Flip. I'm also on BitChute, Bill Miller Flip. And lately I've been branching out into some more of the social media. Like you'll find me on Facebook, Bill Miller Flip. And I'm also on Instagram, Bill Miller Flip. And lately, the coolest one I think is, believe it or not, I never thought I'd do it, but TikTok. I've got about 20 videos up on TikTok, Bill Miller Flip. I like it because there's a time limit. They can't be any longer than 10 minutes. But I tell you what, the trouble is they have they'll let you upload the video even if the music is copyrighted. But Hippie Shake with the 449, thank you, love. Oh, appreciate it. I didn't even mention the super chat, and Hippie Shake, there she did it. She over in the chat section, Hippie Shake has just given me a 449. Now, Hippie, I do need some education. That symbol in front, that's the pound note, correct? I'm a little, and it's just my ignorance. I haven't taken the time to find the difference between the euro and the pound, but I'm thinking that that's the pound note. But thank you, regardless. Thank you for the super chat. I mean, if anybody wants to, I didn't even think of that. Thank you, Hippie Shake. Down in the chat section, down by where you hit the emoticons, the emojis, you'll see a $sign. And if you wanted to make a donation to the channel that way, you click on the $sign, and just like Hippie Shake did, I will get that donation. Much appreciated. Thank you. I had totally forgotten about that. But that's just another way to help support the channel and further the short films. You know, I have to admit, the happiest person there will be, should the financial support become significant, the happiest person will be my wife, Jill. And all the married fellows out there know that a happy wife is a happy life. So, my wife Jill, she kept her last name, but we go by Bill and Jill Miller. Listen to all those L's. Bill and Jill Miller. Bill and Jill Miller. But she kept her last name. Okay, yes, pound as in UK. Worth a bit more than $1, about $2 more, Bill. Okay, excellent. Yeah, I'm guessing that a lot of people use the pound or the euro. I guess I should maybe take the time to educate myself. What was I saying? Oh, TikTok. Yeah. They will let you still upload a video even if the music is copyrighted. They'll let the video go, but they mute it, which is okay for me in some cases, because sometimes it's just the film or the collection of photographs that's more important. But they are really kind of picky about what music they let go through with the copyright. And even YouTube, I would like to get some feedback from some of the viewers on, with the ads, because my channel is monetized now, but I kind of want to know what it's like from your side. Like, I really don't know what it's like. Are the ads and the commercials just really terrible, or are they kind of positioned all right? Yeah, thank you, Sean Osborne. Sean, and I know I asked a question of you earlier. Maybe you left it in the chat. I'll try and send you a message, Sean. Best way to get a hold of you. I got a couple ideas. I won't take long, and it'll be painless, I promise. BillMillerFlip@yahoo.com. I'm kind of curious about this monetization because, how monetization works is, like, YouTube will authorize a channel to be monetized. You have to have 1,000 subscribers and a total of 4,000 hours of watch time from your viewers. And I satisfied all of those, and I did the whole song and dance and did the click the application thing, and they authorized it. So this channel is monetized as a way to, see if I could channel some of the advertising revenue that YouTube makes billions off of. Maybe if I could siphon off a few bucks here and there, or a few thousand here and there. Kidding, not really. Yeah. So I want to know what it's like, because there are some adjustments on how much advertising there is in my videos. I'm trying to find that sweet spot where, I do generate some monthly income. I know it's not going to be a lot, but any amount is still helpful. But if a video, like say I upload a video and it has a song that is copyrighted, that means that the video I can't generate any revenue, because all the revenue goes to the copyright owner. So I have to be selective with the music that I pick for the short films and the presentations and the live streams. And sometimes I will go back. I might even with this live stream, I might edit it in post-production, because I'm guessing there's probably a few spots that won't make it through that are copyrighted. I mean, they're not like strikes. They're not like, bam, like channel endangerment strikes. They're just copyright protection moves that the revenue goes to the copyright owner, which is fair. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just trying to be selective in the music that I pick, so that I can make it through the screening process and still be able to generate revenue. And sometimes you'll see some of my videos that there's an edit in it later on that isn't the way that I edited it. It's a post-production edit. That means that I use the YouTube editing tool to, they'll give you the option to take out that section of the video, and in order to satisfy the copyright part of it, or I've even changed songs through the YouTube editing tool, replaced a song. So if you're ever watching some of my stuff and the audio sounds not quite right, or you see an edit that seems kind of different, it's because I've edited it in YouTube as a way to satisfy their requirements to earn revenue from a video or a live stream. So, did I break my earbud? I think I might have broke my earbud. I'll put that on my wish list of new things. Yeah, so that's kind of how monetization works in a nutshell. I'm also kind of curious, at the end of my videos, I've been doing the how at the end you'll see something come up and it'll give you a link. It'll like an ending while the video's winding down, you'll see a link. I'm kind of curious. I'd like to get some feedback. I know it's kind of a pain, but if you're ever sending me a message about anything, feel free to let me know what your experience is like on your side of this process, because I want to be aware of that, because I don't want it to be, I want the experience to be enjoyable and something that you look forward to, or something you would watch again or come back to. So I'm all ears to input from anybody that would like to share with me on their experience since I've monetized. But as I mentioned, it's just a way of gaining some support from the community. And also, I mean, I'm coming up on 3,000 subscribers. It's amazing. I may do some type of milestone every time I pass a milestone, but 3,000, that's pretty good. I'm still a small channel, but I'm really happy with it. And I'm meeting new people and going on other shows and sharing and collaborating. I'm all about it. If anybody has any ideas for shows, hit me up at billmillerflip@yahoo.com or billmillerflip@gmail.com. The yahoo.com is the primary email address. But I've mentioned all the other self-promotion stuff. I'll leave links in the descriptions to all of that. I trying not to beat a dead horse with the self-promotion. It's awkward enough, but should you decide, the links will be in the show notes. I'll make it real easy for you. Down at the bottom of the page, just click on where it says read more at the bottom, the show description, and I'll have links to any of that. I'm really excited that I sold my first t-shirt. Woohoo! Thank you, John Patton. John Patton is I'm getting some first milestones. John Patton is the first purchaser of a t-shirt at BillMillerFlip.com. Thank you, John. And last week, Morgan over at Isabella Live 2.0 was the first person to become a member of my YouTube channel. He is at the trolley car rider level. He will be able to take advantage of special perks that only members can get. But that's another first. There's a few more firsts that I'm looking forward to, but I'll address those in a future episode. And Sean Osborne says, I'll have to get the phone that accepts cash or I'm putting the money in the wrong way. Money slots are so small on phones. Aha. Good one, Sean. Epidemic sound bill. Okay. This has been it's been a very good show. I might leave you with what I might do is as I thank everybody for coming out, and as I mentioned, look for me tomorrow night on Domestic Truther 69 channel. She has graciously invited me onto her live stream tomorrow, Friday, tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I believe that's Eastern time. Really excited about that. This will be the second show that I've been on. I should just say third. I mean, I did a bunch of live streams with Ray over at Boston Ray Mud Flood Adventures and the Michelle L channel. That's really where I got my feet wet, and he and I and John from Stuffed Beagle, we were just live streaming fiends for about a week straight, and those were good times. Let's focus on the positive. We've gone in different directions, but I do still have some of those on. I've downloaded many of those. And then from there, Austin, awesome Austin over at the Melodome, thought I would be an interesting guest for an episode of the Melodome, and I did that about 3-4 months ago. An entire show, 3 hours long. That was fun. And so Jen is coming up next. She's asked me to come on her show. I'm really excited about that. We'll be going over the melted building and the melted red brick theory. And I think we're all well aware of Jen's research. She's been a pioneer, and she's at the tip of the spear as far as the melted buildings research goes. And I've got some evidence that I'd like to share, and I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think the more live streams that I do, the more people, I think the next thing is that I want to have somebody on my show. And I think if I can figure out how to do interviews or do it on another platform, I'd like to have Ray on. Ray from Boston Mud Flood Adventures and the Michelle L channel. I've reached out to him. I'd like to kind of do an interview with him. I think it would be kind of like an interview style. But that's another first that I've got up there on my to-do list, or my I hope to accomplish list, is having people on my show. Yes, thank you, Hippie Shake, for those links. Hippie Shake is doing an excellent job of providing links in the chat for all of the things that I'm mentioning and the upcoming events. I can envision another a live stream next week around this time. Don't quote me on the day, but as it comes to light and things take shape, I'll be sure to let you know in the form of a video or a notification that I'll be going live in a few days. That way I think we can get more people here. The show's kind of winding down, so people are heading off to other things. It's a busy day. I may try it at a different time. I'm trying to experiment with the best successful time to try and accommodate people over and across the pond and out in the outer lands where Michael Joshua Lewis is in outer Australia. So it's kind of a learning process, and I can go multiple times if I'm feeling good. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all so much. I love you all. I appreciate all of your support. Listen to me ramble for 2.5 hours. I know I can get kind of long-winded and it gets kind of boring, but I'm still kind of figuring out the live streams, and the more I do, hopefully the better I get, and the more enjoyable the experience is for you. And I look forward to seeing you all. I love you all. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will leave you with the music and the visuals in the background. And good day, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever the case may be in your corner of the realm. Have a good day. I've already botched it. I got it. There we go. Peace, people.